Hello, Fighter Jet family. This is April Jet, the bondage breaker, your soul transformation facilitator. And I'm coming back to you with another video of transparency, the car chronicles. Look, y'all know when I make a video in my car, it's real. So I just finished beating myself up. And when I say that, I mean talking harsh to myself. You should have did this. You should have been that. That's selfish. You should have, why this, why that? I can't believe you. Because I didn't like a decision that I've made. And while the point of this video is not the decision that I made, the point of the video is what I am having to come to grips with on a consistent basis. That it doesn't matter how much I've grown. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much I've grown. There's always room to grow. There's always room to grow. And so what I'm learning, what I'm seeing, and what I continue to experience is that even though I've learned things and I've come to what I would consider healing on certain aspects of my personality and just energetically within myself, that there is a habit of thinking that we have. And my habit of thinking is to be harsh on myself, to be not be very kind, to not be very forgiving to myself. It's a part of me that believes that in order to make sure that you do better, that you have to punish yourself. And so punishing myself would be to fuss at myself, shame myself. You should have known better. You should have did better. I can't believe this is how you handled it. And that is a habit of thought and action for myself. And before healing, I didn't know that that's what it was. I just thought that I was just being me. I didn't give any thought to it. So for me, the place that I'm at in my healing is that, one, I recognized that that was something that was happening. Two, which that was self-awareness right there. Two, I recognized that what was happening was not healthy. Three, I identified what was the best thing to happen for me. All right. So that is where the healing takes place, is the identification that something is happening, the awareness that something is happening, and the identification that what's happening is not healthy, and then identifying what you would like to happen instead. Okay. And so, to me, that's a healing process. That's the healing process. That's where how you start and how you walk on that journey. But there's always more healing that can happen. And so I used to take the credit away from myself when I found that I would have to remind myself of those things. I'm back down that road of talking negative to myself. And so I would take the credit from myself of healing and say, well, I must not have healed. But Spirit wants to encourage us that just because you have found yourself back in a situation doesn't mean you haven't done the work to heal. It means that there's deeper healing that is available to you. And that to think that there is a healing that can occur and there is no deeper growth that can happen is a thought that needs to be healed in and of itself. Because that means there's a place that you can arrive to that you no longer need to grow from. And if you ever think that, know that you are wrong. You are absolutely wrong. In this imperfect world, with these imperfect people, in our imperfect circumstances, there is always room to get better. There is always room to grow, and there's always room to deepen the healing that you have accomplished. So I want to encourage you that if you find yourself slipping back into old ways or old habits or old thoughts, that what you need to do for yourself is, one, to not take the credit away from the work you have done to heal. Don't say that you haven't healed. What you want to say and acknowledge is that there is more healing or a deeper healing that can be done, and then accept that challenge. Thank you, Source. Number two, which that just came to me just now, because that's not what I came on to say at all. So that's why I'm like, thank you, Source. Thank you. Thank you, Universe. Thank you, God. Thank you. All right. And two, what I came on to say is that while I was crying and upset and beating myself up, Spirit was so kind to deliver a message to me, and a whole lot was received. But the one thing that I'm going to share right here with you right now is Spirit said that a lot of us feel that when we make decisions that we don't like, right? When we do something wrong, anything along those lines, that the answer is to punish yourself, right? We do that even with our children, that in order to stop you from doing something that you shouldn't do, we punish you. Okay. And I'm human. I understand the logic. I grew up in a society that is the logic. But what Source is saying to me, while I actually don't have the full answer to exactly what we're supposed to do when it comes down to that with our children, what I am understanding when it comes to it with life is that the answer is not to punish you. The answer is to teach you. Okay, that's the answer. And so while we might feel like we should punish ourselves when we do wrong or make mistakes, what that is doing, the punishing looks like us shaming ourselves. For some people, it go even further to them hurting themselves, cutting themselves, abusing drugs, abusing things, right? Abusing food, making that a drug. So abusive tendencies. But all of it is a punishment. It's a way to either try to correct your behavior or a way to numb what comes from the behavior, right? Oh, Lord, thank you. Thank you, Source. Right? So we abuse ourselves or we punish ourselves because that is like a pattern of thinking that we all have on how to correct or change patterns of behavior. But what Source is saying is that when you do that, when you're shaming and you're guilting and you are shoulding and you are, angry or you're having fear or all these things that happen, when you do that, then the decisions that you are making are coming from that place of fertile ground. You fertilize your ground with that seed, with that type of nourishment, that type of toxicity. And so anything that grows from that ground, anything that happens next, any decisions that you make from that place of toxicity is now going to reproduce toxicity. It's going to create a harvest that is toxic. And that toxicity is going to be toxic to you and those around you. And so while it might feel like the most logical thing to be harsh or to punish yourself, what you're doing is creating a toxic environment for yourself. And that now the thoughts that you have are coming in this toxic environment. And so the decisions that you make are coming from a toxic environment, creating a toxic harvest. And so Source said that what we want to do is move to a place of forgiveness, move to a place of love, a place of compassion, a place of grace with ourselves as well as with others. But the sooner we move to that place of forgiveness, love, grace, free flowing, compassion, understanding, when we move there for ourselves, then what we do is we don't necessarily perpetuate the bad behavior. What we do is we give ourselves the room to get lined up with Source. What that does is energetically line us up with our inner guidance, which is God, which is Source. And so now you've created an environment that is not toxic, but is healthy and nourishing to the soul. And so the decisions or the thoughts that you have turn into the decisions that you make. And those decisions produce a harvest that is bountiful and plentiful of love, of peace, of forgiveness, of acceptance, of happiness, of grace, of ease. Do y'all hear me? Y'all hear me? Y'all hear this? I just finished crying because I'm beating myself up. Even though I'm April Jett, the bondage breaker, the soul transformation facilitator, right? Even though I have that title, see, so many of us who are leaders, who are light workers, who are trailblazers, who are visionaries, who don't want to share your imperfections. But what I want to do is challenge you, those of you who are leaders, leaders in your home, leaders in your community, leaders at your workplace. I want to encourage you to be transparent about your flaws. Be transparent. Because everybody know your ish stink anyway. Everybody doo-doo stink. So why are you walking around like it don't? Just accept it. My doo-doo stink, and you shouldn't expect that my doo-doo don't stink. Something wrong with you for thinking that my doo-doo is the reason why my doo-doo wouldn't stink. All right, so I'm off of that. But anyway, so yeah, I've come to be transparent on my YouTube channel, on whatever platform I'm on, because so many of us are going through things and we feel like we are alone because nobody wants to share their shit. So back to it, y'all. So I'm over here beating myself up, but also I've come to a place of self-awareness, right? I have a habit of being aware of myself. And so I'm aware that I went down that path. I'm aware that I went down an old path of thinking, an old path of habits that I have healed from. And that there's deeper healing available for me. I can get better at this. So in that, sharing these messages with you, what I just received in the car on this rainy day, crying. I mean, just the whole, you hear the rain? Just the whole mood was just for me to release and cry. But this is what came out of it. So I don't know who needs to hear this message, but if you ran across this video, this is for you. Be encouraged. Be kind to yourself. Forgive yourself. Show yourself grace and compassion and mercy and love. It's not going to encourage you to continue to do the thing that you don't want to do. No, it's the opposite. It's going to line you up with source. It's going to increase your vibration and put you in a place of fertile ground that will create a harvest for you that will be full of everything that you desire. You recreate the compassion. You recreate the grace and the love for yourself and for those around you. You create a harvest of that type of fruit. And that energetically can only bring good things to you. You know what I'm saying? We have to begin to shift the way that we see ourselves and the way that we see our lives. We have to shift the way we interact with the world around us. But that starts with the world inside of us. And if you're not willing to step back and say, okay, let me take a look at this from another perspective. If you're never willing to do that because it doesn't line up with your beliefs, then you're never giving yourself an opportunity to make transformative change in your life. Because change happens within you, but it can't happen unless you see something different. You have to see it different for you to think different. And you have to think different in order for you to act different. And you have to act different in order for your circumstances to be different. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of this family. If you would love to see more videos like this, more transparency like this, then make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss a video that I upload. Make sure to hit that bell in order to get the notifications, right? Also hit like so that way this video can circulate, that YouTube can be a part of the process of circulating this video to those who need to hear it, who need to hear the message. So again, I love you. Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to speaking to you later. Y'all have a good holiday. No matter what the holiday is for you, make every day good. Why not? I love you, Fighter Jets.